This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Stuff at Sea is a 5-night adults-only sailing trip that brings the Stuff podcast universe to life on board. This voyage is a culture-soaked escape where pink sand paradise meets curious minds. Sailing round trip from New York City to Bermuda on October 2nd to 7th, 2026, this voyage drops you straight into the iHeart Podcast Stuff universe. On top of the adults-only experience you already love, you'll get live podcast episode recordings, behind-the-scenes sessions, themed activations, and more unmissable onboard moments. Learn more at virginvoyages.com/stuff.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and Jerry's here too, and this is Stuff You Should Know, the We're All Melting edition.
Yeah, I'm just a migrating fern.
Oh, that's a good one to be.
Blowing through the forest, looking for a new home.
Sure.
I'm a spore.
What happens when you get there, spore?
Well, I'll probably grow into a beautiful new fern because ferns are pretty hardy.
That's awesome. And I'll bet you'll contribute to society in all sorts of beneficial ways that ferns that were already there couldn't necessarily do.
I hope so. There is fern stuff in here, and I have a wonderful fern scene at my camp. On the other side of the feeder creek that goes into the main creek, I even have a sign that says Fern Forest. Mm-hmm. And it's a forest of ferns. It's quite lovely. God
knows where they're from, because those things can travel quite a bit, as we'll see.
Yeah, they could be from Alabama.
Easily. I'm not kidding. Easily, man. I've got a stat that's going to blow your mind in a second. Actually, I'll just bust it out now. You ready?
Yeah. How far can a fern travel?
A fern can travel, the Tasmanian tree fern in particular, can send its spores 500 to 800 kilometers. That's 300 to 500 miles from the mother plant. Okay. And get this, a single frond, mm-hmm. produces more than 750 million of those spores.
Wow.
So you can understand that ferns, you find ferns everywhere. They're really hardy. They can actually survive colder temperatures than you would think. Mm-hmm. They also thrive in the tropics. They're like a really great pioneer plant. They usually are among the first large plants that show up in a newly cleared part of Earth, right?
This all makes sense then.
Okay, so what we're talking about then is that those ferns that showed up in this new place and said, hey, let's get this biosphere going again. Let's get this biome back into shape after this wildfire or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or there was like a stampede because there was a really great ice cream truck that drove through. One of those two. Mm-hmm. Those ferns have migrated. They came from Tasmania, apparently, all the way to wherever the ice cream truck was. Right. And now they're there. Uh-huh. And so they actually moved in that sense, which is really surprising because plants are what are known as sessile organisms. They don't move from place to place individually as organisms, but as a species, they can actually move around like inchworms pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't really know much about this. We're talking about plant migration and the the very real fact mm-hmm. that just like humans and animals mm-hmm. will go to more hospitable climes as the climate may change or just, just to seek a better place to be, plants and trees and things en masse do the same thing.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of ways that they do that too. They do it by dispersing their seeds or their spores. In that case, fern spores are single-celled organisms. They're not like a seed technically, but they do the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. they show up in a place and set up shop and they start rocking out.
Yeah, that's right. And ferns, it depends, and we'll get all into this stuff, but how fast this happens depends on different factors. How far these plants can migrate depends on different factors. Why this is happening is generally climate change.
Yeah.
And plants and trees and things are generally moving north or up in elevation if they hit mountains.
Or south in the southern hemisphere.
Exactly. So that's sort of the general pattern. And we mentioned ferns because, like you said, those spores can really haul. Ferns also mature very quickly. And, the wind can just... That's why I got a fern forest at my camp, probably.
Yeah, so they check both of the boxes that you need to be a fast migrating plant species. They produce seeds or spores at a very young age, and their seed or spore can travel very far distances, right?
Right.
So they can move around. And also it doesn't hurt that, like I said, ferns are adaptable. The trees and other plants don't move quite so fast, but they move, especially if you look at the fossil record, a lot faster than they actually should. So if you pay attention to a single organism, say an oak, those acorns don't travel terribly far. They may get a little further away from the drip line if a squirrel happens to bury it somewhere and a new oak tree grows.
Sure.
I think it was Anders Sandberg who described acorns as solar-powered factories for producing more oak trees.
Whoa. Andy Sandberg said that?
No, Anders Sandberg.
Oh, okay.
He's a philosopher at Oxford.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Andy Sandberg, he ate his lime accidentally in his Corona bottle. That's what he's got.
You know who he's married to?
Patricia Arquette.
No, it's not
Rosanna
a bad guess.
Arquette.
You've been guessing Patricia Arquette for a lot of things lately, I feel like.
Have I?
He's married to, I feel like that's come up before recently.
All right.
Maybe, I don't know.
Her name just rolls off the tongue.
I know. A big fan of hers. He is married to, what's her name? Joanna Newsom, the singer and harpist.
Oh, neat. Oh,
and if you're into architecture and homes, you should seek out, I don't know if it was Architectural Digest or something, but someone did a spread on their home, and it is really something else.
Okay. So that's Andy Sandberg hour.
Yeah. That's
that we just checked off.
A quick detour.
Wait, I wasn't done.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So if you look at an individual tree, an oak tree, those acorns don't go particularly far away from the tree, as the old saying goes. But the fact that they do fall away from the tree means that very slowly, some of those seedlings are going to grow up a little more northward or a little more southward than its mother plant. And very, very slowly, the whole group of oaks can move southward or northward, right?
Over hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of years.
So long. The thing is, if you look at the fossil record, they move way faster than that, than they should. And there's actually a paradox that was named by a guy named Clement Reed, right?
Reed's paradox.
Yeah, he's got a great title for it.
Of rapid plant migration. That's the full title.
It sounds almost like snake oil from the 19th century.
Yeah, it kind of does.
So what is it?
Oh, okay. I didn't ever set me up. We're still tight after all these years.
For sure.
So what he found from the fossil record, like you were talking about, and as we'll see, that's one a pretty good way to study this stuff, especially pollen fossils, right?
Yeah, because they're so hardy.
Yeah, so he saw that trees were migrating a lot faster than the rate that you would think. And so he, those oaks, I think, was one example you gave on the British Isles after the last glacial period over a span of 10,000 years or so. They traveled about 600 miles, and it would normally take about 1 million years if the seeds were just dispersed in a typical way.
Right.
But what he figured was that what may be happening here is some weird weather event happens that sent things much farther than usual, or some deer or something eats something and then poops out something really far away from where it started. And so all of a sudden this animal has spread it via their poo-poo. Right.
And this is how large scale migration happens. or I should say rapid migration over long distances, right?
Right, yeah.
It's the unusual, not just the acorn falling and hitting the ground. It's not just gravity assisted. It's animal assisted, which is called zoochory, or it's wind assisted, which is called anemochory, or water assisted, which is called hydrochory. And that's just the way that some plants disperse their seeds. That's kind of on top of the normal way they disperse it, which is just dropping it from their leaves or the spores blowing on the wind, which I guess is one type of chory.
Yeah. So like if a squirrel loaded up its mouth full of things and somehow found its way into your camper as you set off for Arizona from
That would
Georgia,
be a freak event, sure.
and it probably wouldn't be en masse, but that's a way a tree could move.
All it takes is that one oak to make it
Sure.
So to just survive, and then it starts its own new part of the range.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also should point out, when was Reed doing this? This is a while ago, like 100+ years ago, right?
Yeah, he was a geologist. I don't know if we said, but his Reed's Paradox of Rapid Plant Migration came out in 1899, and it was a smash hit.
Yeah. So people, I mean, for at least that long, science has been sort of curious about this migration happening at a rate that they would not expect.
Right. The thing is that's really hard when you throw in that X factor to calculate how fast an actual species can migrate. And there's a few ways that you can study that kind of thing. One, as you said, is studying the fossil record, which is super helpful. But it's not showing you what's going on contemporaneously or within the last couple decades. This is 10,000, a million years ago, something like that, right?
Yeah. So if you wanted to study something a little closer to home, timeline-wise, you would maybe set up what's called a permanent vegetation plot. So you would mark off an area, and you would go back there, every so often, like every 6 months or every year or so, and just sort of chart what's happening. That's one really good way. I think they've been doing this for about 100 years, since the 1920s. So we've got a pretty good data set there. Something else you could do is go somewhere, like let's say you dug up some cool scientific journal from a scientist from 200 years ago that went and explored some island. And while they may not have charted everything out exactly like you would in today's science, they may have a really nice diary about all the plant life there and things that they saw there and where it might be. And you could go back to that place, and it's not quite as tight of a record, but you could still get a pretty good idea of what's happening.
Yeah, depending on whose journal you're working from. And back in 2012, a Danish team of scientists followed the record left by a 19th century geologist named Alexander von Humboldt from Germany, who was just an interesting dude in and of himself.
Yeah.
He called coffee concentrated sunbeams, so he's my kind of guy.
Oh, man, that's great.
They went back to Chimborazo volcano in Ecuador, which Humboldt studied in detail. And not only did he study the vegetation there, and he classified all sorts of new plants that Europeans didn't know about at that point, he also noted exactly where they were on the mountain as far as the elevation went.
Super helpful.
Super helpful. So based on this information, the 2012 Danes were able to go back and recreate his trip, and then they were able to note what plants were where, and they found that all species on average had moved up the mountain by about an average of about 500 meters, which is significant. It's like almost a mile. It's like 0.8 of a mile.
Yeah, that's the average.
Yeah.
There was a lot of variation within that, but that's a long way.
For sure.
And what we found out, and I guess this comes up a little later, but a plant can find more hospitable climes going up 500 meters than they might by going, let's just say, north like 90 to 100 miles.
Yes.
So like a much quicker road to better climbs if you just go up that mountain.
For sure. Yeah, that's kind of two ways they move is longitudinally or altitudinally.
You got to be in shape, though.
Oh, for sure.
If you're going to climb that mountain. Should we take a break?
I think we should, but just to wrap it up real quick, there's a bunch of ways you can study the movement of trees, but it's so slow and it happens over such long timelines, longer than a human timeline, that it's harder to do than you'd think. But we still have figured out some ways to do it.
All right. We'll be right back And we'll talk about all this stuff in more detail right after this. Hey, everybody. Here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's US-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes, so it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Hey everybody, we're here to talk to you about Wayfair, who believes that spaces should be functional, they should be comfortable, they should be well designed, and they can be well designed by you with their help.
Your updated space should feel more comfortable, inviting, and practical for everyday use. And we're talking about outdoor seating. We're talking about grills. We're talking about major appliances. If you need storage solutions, Wayfair can help you out. Patio lighting, rugs, decor. It is your one-stop shop for home.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting nice out, so it's time to think about living outdoors for the next few months. And Wayfair knows that outdoor furniture, it's heavy, it's intimidating to assemble. So Wayfair has stepped in and said, we're going to handle the hard part so you don't have to.
That's right. You can shop Wayfair Verified, your shortcut to the good stuff. And that means their team of product specialists are going to vet everything by hand using a 10-point inspection, testing things like, quality materials, functionality, and features, and even how long it takes to build that piece of furniture. And the overall experience save time, reduce hassle, and improved convenience.
Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. So head to wayfair.com right now to get your outdoor space ready for way less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
One other way we failed to mention, probably would have been better to just say that before the break. But again, still learning after 16 years.
Sure.
Satellite images is another way that you can study on the short term. The fossil pollen is much longer, and those plant plots and things like that, vegetation plots, are shorter term, but satellite images can also help.
Yeah. If you want to catch like a Venus flytrap in the act of leapfrogging over some other plant, a satellite image is going to help you with that. The fossil record won't show you that.
Here's the thing with all this, though. It's not like we're going to talk a lot about climate change because that's what's spurring a lot of the movement right now. But the Earth's climate has changed a lot over the years, and this is not some new thing. There used to be periods of time where the Sahara Desert was quite green, and there was grasses growing there and tropical plants growing there and elephants roaming the Sahara and wildlife living there. And they've learned that this is actually one of the things that helped move, humans around. Like humans could actually migrate through the Sahara with much more ease than they could before during these green Sahara periods.
Yeah, that's so fascinating that, who knows when we would have migrated out of Africa into Europe in the ages had the green Sahara not happened. Isn't that just nuts?
Yeah, like hundreds of miles, it says here, that they would find tropical plants growing where they shouldn't be growing alongside, the desert stuff that survived. So that was this weird sort of mixed up biome for a time.
Yeah, in the Green Sahara period, there were a few of them that have been documented, but they figured out that they happen about every 23,000 years.
Right.
We're due for one in about 12,000 years, something like that. And it's based on the tilt in Earth's axis. That's neither here nor there, but the point is during these periods where the Sahara was just a humid kind of tropical forest, there was a mixture, kind of what you touched upon, of different, like you said, a hybrid biome of stuff that wouldn't necessarily live together under normal circumstances, but got along just famously in the couple thousand years that the Sahara was green and those plants were growing together.
Yeah, it's just amazing to think about.
And then in North America, we have another example too. After the Laurentide Glacier, which is way up in the Arctic right now, used to be down in Indiana and northern New Jersey.
Yeah.
And when it retreated, it took everything with it. It took boulders, it carved out lakes, it did all sorts of neat stuff. But what it didn't leave behind was vegetation. So it was like a giant ice cream truck, basically.
Yeah.
It left nothing behind, and it was just a great place for plants to pioneer and colonize.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you have pine trees in New Jersey, right?
I would think so. Yeah, or in the South, because they were too far. They were trapped below the Laurentide Glacier down in the southeast, even though they normally would have been growing in the north, right? And as the glacier retreated, the climate changed in that area, and so the trees just moved on up. So that's an example of migration as well.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I thought it was more hospitable in the south for these trees, and that migration sent them north.
Yeah, that's what I said, right?
Oh, okay.
Maybe
I heard you wrong.
Yeah.
The other thing we should talk about as far as climate change goes, because like I said, we're going to mention that a lot, is the rate of change of the climate is increasing, as most people agree on. And that is kind of where we are now in discussing this, is the rate of climate increasing too fast for the plant migration to catch up? Or in some cases, are the plants migrating ahead of that pace? And that's really sort of, a lot of this episode is about this rate of change. In the 200 years since the beginning of the industrial age, no coincidence, the temperature of the Earth has increased more than 1 degree.
Celsius,
and again,
right?
Yeah, we all know now that, 1 degree is like a huge, huge deal.
It's 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, exactly. But 0.37 of that change over the past 200 years has come since 2011.
Yes, dude.
So people have, someone has stepped on the gas here.
Yeah.
And it's happening much, much faster. And it seemingly, in many cases, faster than these plants can catch up.
Yeah, so plants are used to migrating, like they've been migrating throughout Earth's history, but these conditions are different. It's not like it was before, even when the Earth was heating up after the last ice age. I think, Did you say that it took about an average of 1,400 years to increase by 1 degree after the last glacial period?
No, that was the setup that would have been very helpful, actually.
I mean, think about it. So we've achieved 1 degree in 200 years, and after the last glacial period ended, the Earth heated 1 degree every 1,400 years.
Yeah, that's called a rapid increase.
Yeah, like you said, somebody's put their foot on the gas, and that somebody is Western industrialized nations, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's really kind of putting the heat on plants, literally, is their southernmost ranges or their northernmost ranges, depending on what I guess their equatorial pointing ranges, where it's hotter. Yeah. Those are the ones that are really at stake. So are those plants' ranges big enough that they'll be able to survive that change in climate and just keep moving northward? Or are they going to be outpaced by the movement of the climate? Because the climate is racing toward the poles just like the plants are, right?
Yeah.
So who's faster? Well, it turns out if you talk about New England's trees, they move something, I think red oaks is what it was that this University of Vermont group was studying. They move something like 1/10 to 3/10 of a mile a year, right?
Yeah.
The climate is moving something like 4 to 6 miles a year. So the climate is really kind of showing up as kind of the Usain Bolt of this race. And I don't know, the plants are like me racing Usain Bolt.
Yeah, that lab group in Vermont, they all have T-shirts that just say, "You do the math."
Exactly.
It's very smarmy, but they get their point across.
For sure.
There's another example of, and we've kind of been talking about northern movement, which is generally the pattern, but not always. There's a researcher at Purdue named Songlin Fei. I think Fei or Phi?
I don't know.
FEI. I bet it's Phi. Who studied 86 species of trees in the eastern U.S. over about 30 years from the mid-'80s to 2015. Mm-hmm. And it depends on what the tree is. Hardwoods, scarlet oaks, red maples, magnolias are moving west at about 1.5 kilometers a year because the Midwest is becoming more wet and the conditions are good for those trees to grow. Mm-hmm. Softwoods, shortleaf pines, red pines, bald cypress, they're actually moving north about 1 kilometer a year. So different plants and trees are moving in different directions at different rates.
Yeah, it's very much akin to a neighborhood that's this old settled-in neighborhood with a bunch of mix of people that's being gentrified. It's being pushed out and separated. Not everybody the whole neighborhood doesn't just move. This neighborhood breaks up and goes in different directions.
Yeah.
And so to ecologists and arborists, this is very concerning because for a long time we've looked at groups of plants as communities. Some plants go with other plants. I think, what is it, beech and hickory? Where is it?
I don't know. I like hickory though.
We can't leave that in there. Oh yeah, hemlocks. I knew it was an H tree.
Yeah.
Beech and hemlocks go together like peanut butter and chocolate. So too do firs and spruces, right? So when you find one of these, you usually find the other one. And there's also a bunch of other plants that kind of interact, and usually some types of animals that hang out in those same types of forests. So if you've got the hemlocks going north and the beech going west, who are the hemlocks going to mix with and who are the beech going to mix with when they start to set up these new communities? And that was really troubling to ecologists. But I think palynologists, these fossil pollen scientists, have said it's always been this way. Communities aren't permanent. They're kind of unstable. They just seem permanent to us because our life years, our lifespan's on the order of 70, 80 years, right?
Right.
This is it's a much slower process, but it's a constantly changing turnover. So it's not that big of a deal. But again, because of the pace of climate change, when these hemlocks get further north and the beech get further west, they're going to have far less time to develop new connections and networks with the new plants that they set up communities with.
Yeah. And the other thing too, earlier when I mentioned that a series of trees might move up a mountainside because it's a way quicker way to get to a more hospitable climate than moving that 90 miles north.
Yeah.
And this happens in other cases as well, it's not just up a mountainside, but when they get to the place where they're going, it may be a better place, may be more hospitable climate-wise, but other things aren't so great. So if you move up that mountain slope, let's say, you have shallower soil, and so those trees move up there because the climate's better, but then they get there and the soil isn't as great, so they get squeezed into where they can grow, maybe into a tiny little narrow band that's, potentially choking off the rest of the forest.
Yeah. I've figured out it's kind of like hiding in a closet during a house fire. You're going to be safe in the short term, but in the long term, it's not a great strategy. But it's not like the trees have any choice. They can't go back down. It's too hot there. They can't move further up. The soil's inhospitable. So they're trapped, and they're eventually going to become a thinner and thinner band until they just pop out of existence.
That's right. And the other thing that can happen too, when, like you said, when they get to a new place and they don't have enough time to make new friends, all of a sudden that can open the window for bad friends to show up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden invasive species are there. And then you've got a whole other set of problems.
Yeah. The ones that wear like leather jackets with the little silver studs on their shoulders. Those are the ones you got to watch out for, those plants.
If this all seems very kind of on too long of a timeline for you to care, first of all, you probably don't care much about climate change because that's the whole name of the game there.
Sure.
But maple syrup is a good example that Livia found. Livia helped us out. She did a great job with this. The maple tree, which species is it? The sugar maple is one of the two main species that we use to get that delicious maple syrup.
I'm sorry, just as an aside, sugar maple are two beautiful words that form an even more beautiful
You are right on the money, my friend.
You know?
Sugar maple. Mm-hmm. That just sounds nice coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
They have been migrating north into Canada, and you might say, well, that's great. Canada's a fine place to live. And I'm sure they love their maple syrup there too. Mm-hmm. But in Quebec, the researchers have found that they're not going to go beyond their current range up there because they're boreal forests up there. So the soil, again, the climate might be better, but then they get up there and the soil pH and the microbe content of the soil is not what they're used to and not what they work well with and grow well with. So they're not doing well up there in the forest.
No, and it's the exact same position as the trees that are trying to go up the mountain are running into. Eventually, these trees that are moving into the boreal forest areas, they can't go any further. Like they're not adapted to that. Over a long enough timeline,
yeah, maybe
those sugar maples could, like, a few of them could land in the boreal forest and end up surviving in that kind of soil. And then they would be adapted for it and they'd start reproducing. And then as the boreal forest moved closer to the poles or the Arctic, those trees would move where the boreal forest used to be, right? Totally not a problem over a long enough time span. Again, climate change has so drastically shortened that time span that there's probably not going to be time for this. And those sugar maples will just run into that boreal soil and it'll be like hitting a brick wall for their species.
Yeah. Another issue that can happen, and I know this all just seems like doomsday stuff.
Kind of is.
It kind of is, though. Let's say the Amazon episode that we talked about, when trees are moving out there, they might be replaced by something, and it may not be an invasive species, but it may just be weeds or grasses or something. Those aren't as good at capturing carbon as those trees were. So then that accelerates the problem even more.
Right. And then there's another, if you want to keep talking about doomsday scenarios, those boreal forests, they actually are, if you look at a map or if you look at planet Earth from outer space, they're dark, which means that they absorb more sunlight, more heat, more UV radiation than the polar caps, the ice, that reflects it back into space. So as those boreal forests advance further and further north toward the Arctic or the North Pole, and there's less and less ice to reflect it, there's more and more heat for them to trap, which is just going to heat the Earth up that much faster. It's a positive feedback loop that's super duper negative.
Yeah, very negative. Maybe we should cover tropical things moving north and then take a break?
Yeah, because I got some good stuff on that, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. So you can have like tropical plants in tropical zones like Florida where, the earth is warming, so they can move further and further north. And all of a sudden, these plants that are native to tropical zones are ending up in areas where it's, not necessarily a tropical zone. I can't remember which zone Atlanta is.
Atlanta's 7B and 8A.
7. I love that you know that stuff. But the point is, like, these kill frosts that you might get that happen to, I love that name, kill frost. Like it'll get really cold and frost over and like kill things maybe that shouldn't be there. If that's happening less and less, and there's even less in the way of those tropical plants moving northward.
Right. And so I guess climatologists are expecting that by the end of this century, which seems like a long way away, but buddy, that's like 8 decades, 70-something years, maybe even 77, you could say, to be exact. But in 77 years, climatologists expect all of Florida Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, I'm guessing the southern half, to be tropical. Those are subtropical now. If you want an example of what a tropical country is, go to Ecuador. Go to Guatemala. Those are tropical, and Alabama and Arizona are going to be like Guatemala by the end of the century.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know. It's really, and it's happening. It's not like they've shown that it's currently happening.
Yes, and it's happening because, like you were saying, those extreme cold events are becoming rarer and they're becoming warmer. So the coldest day of the year is not as cold as it used to be, in other words.
I think the scientific term is kill frost.
I love that. That is definitely a band name.
Oh, for sure. Like, what are they, though?
I don't know. They could be all
some kind
sorts
of heavy
stuff.
or something, right?
I don't know. Remember Destroyer? They were great. They didn't really. They had like kind of like a belying name. You know what I mean?
No, that's true.
So it could be like that.
I think he named the band that for that reason, as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing, maybe.
I knew I liked that guy.
Yeah. Behar is who we're talking about, not Joy.
Tony.
Tony Behar.
Todd.
No, it's Dan, I think, right?
I don't know. I just know a couple of Destroyer songs. I don't have to know the guy's life story, do I?
Well, settle down. No, I wanted to look it up because he's also a part-time member of maybe my favorite all-time band, the New Pornographers, like modern band.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's on most of their albums, but hasn't done the past few.
Who was the singer for New Pornographers? Was it Nico Case?
Well, she sings, and Carl Newman sings, and also the great Catherine Calder, who is a Stuff You Should Know listener.
Oh, neat. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
I found that out, and I was like, oh, I got to get in touch with her. And I did, and now we are email buddies. And on the last New Pornographers show in Atlanta, she was kind enough to meet me behind the bus, as they say, in the back parking lot, and we chatted for a while, and she's just wonderful. And she also, I'm going to plug her other band because she has put out a great album last year with her band Front Person. So get Front Person. If you like synthy goodness and like a beautiful angelic voice, then get Front Person.
Speaking of synthy goodness, it's so funny you bring that up. Just today I discovered an entirely new genre of music called dungeon synth. Have you heard of it?
What? No.
Okay. It's a really well-named genre, but it is synth, super like synthy synth, like 80s kind of synth.
I love it.
But the kind of synth that you would find is like the score to a 70s Hobbit like cartoon movie, animated movie. Ooh. It's super wizardy and fantasy. It just evokes all that stuff, and it does such a good job of it. But I've only heard one album. I can't remember whose it was, but check out
Killfrost.
Check out Dungeon Synth. Yeah, Killfrost is a Dungeon Synth band. Nice work.
All right, Dungeon Synth and the Front Person album, their most recent one, Parade, is great.
Very nice. I think it's
full stop.
Time for a break.
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll be back with more album reviews right after this.
Hey everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's US-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes, so it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more.
Introducing the all-new Mazda CX-5, featuring more connection.
Hey Google, where's the nearest Pilates class?
Safety that has your back. More discovery on the scenic routes. More passion in the details. And more control in changing weather. The all-new Mazda CX-5. More to move every side of you. See it in 5 films at mazdausa.com/5sides.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC. Sequences shortened and simulated.
So, Chuck, one thing you can say about humans is that we are action-oriented.
Sure.
In a lot of ways. I will give you
depends.
that we sit around and bicker and complain and moan and undermine one another. But when the chips are down, we can invent our way out of a lot of problems. And invention doesn't have to necessarily mean that we, put some metal on metal and made it go on its own. It can be something like inventing new areas for species that are in danger of being lost to climate change to settle and make another part of their range out of.
Well, sir, it sounds like you were talking about forest-assisted migration.
By God, I am.
That's right. And that is basically, and we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this, that is human beings, scientists getting involved in the ecosystem and nature and spreading seed and sort of getting ahead of the pace, if the pace isn't where it should be to keep up with climate change, saying, well, let me give you a little help forward. Mm-hmm. And this can be kind of thorny because it's humans, like I said, getting involved in the ecosystem in ways that science has long said, let nature work it out. And that's the best way to do it because you don't know what can happen once you start messing around.
Yeah, like nature finds a way.
It does.
These guys are saying, the people who are in favor of this are saying that made sense before July 2023, which is probably the hottest month in Earth's history, at least as far as since it cooled, basically. Mm-hmm. And that followed the hottest June ever, right? So they're these ecologists that are like, no, we need to take much more of an active hand in this, are saying like it's our obligation to do something. Not doing anything is going to be more destructive. It's like saying like, yeah, we shouldn't move these people out of this house that's being bulldozed over because we don't know what they're going to do in their new neighborhood. So we're just going to stand there and watch them die as the bulldozer crushes them inside of their house. That's a pretty good analogy, if I do congratulate myself here. It's very much akin to that. And so those ecologists have a pretty good point. Like, it's like, yeah, it's not a great, perfect solution, but it's way better than doing nothing.
Yeah, and they're not doing it willy-nilly, though. They're very aware of the potential pitfalls, like, spreading disease and introducing something to an area that could be really bad for other things in that area. So they're not just out there, with a seed cannon blasting stuff all over the place, like Dolph Lundgren or something.
Wearing bike coat shorts.
There's a couple of different kinds, though. There's forest-assisted migration. Mm-hmm. The one that's really sort of thorny is assisted range expansion. So, like, if you're spreading something within the zone where it might still normally grow in like 200 years, That's one thing. If you're moving something completely out of that range, like, they do forecasting and stuff, and they're like, what might this area look like 100 miles from here, 100 years from now? If they're moving something completely out of a range that it would even potentially grow, that gets way, way trickier. And I think there's less of that happening, right?
Yeah, yes, for sure. You hit it on the head. They're saying like, okay, by 2100, what is this area going to be like? Is it going to be like where these red oaks like to live now in 2023? Right. And if so, maybe we can give them a head start and hope that some of them will survive and adapt and start colonizing there, right? Yeah. It gets even pricklier than assisted range expansion. There's another even more radical one called species rescue, or assisted species migration. And that is where you take a plant completely out of its normal range, out of what you would even predict would be its normal range, and just move it somewhere it would never be.
Right.
And this is considered the riskiest of the three by ecologists, because you can easily take something that's totally innocuous and benign under normal circumstances and make it into an invasive species when you move it. And the critics of this typically point to the Monterey pine as a good example.
Yeah, that's right. It's endangered in California. Mm-hmm. It is native to California, but they have introduced it in Australia, and it's I don't know about wreaking havoc, but it's damaging the it's an invasive species in Australia.
Yeah, for sure. They consider it a weed, and when they see it, they pluck it. They do not like those in New South Wales and Victoria, I believe, states.
Now that's a weed.
Right.
I don't know.
That was okay.
Wasn't my best.
No, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I think you just came up with a brand new type of accent, frankly.
Yeah.
Can we hear it again?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to go back and replay it.
What's funny, though, is I use the lady on my phone that talks to me. What's it called on Apple?
Siri.
Siri, I guess. I don't use Siri, but I still have a voice for maps and stuff. And I usually go between an Irish woman and a Kiwi, a New Zealander.
Oh, yeah.
And the New Zealander says, right. And it always cracks me up.
That sounds like Matthew McConaughey.
It does. At the next street, take a ride.
I got to hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do something that gee whiz to an Apple iPhone. Make it talk
what do you
like
got? Just some regular old thing?
I don't do like sounds. Digital sounds are one of those. Like I don't have misophonia, but if I do, it's for digital sounds. Like when I get a new computer, the first thing I do is turn off all sounds on it. Like any dings and bongs have to go. Like I have to change my text sound every month or so because I'll just get like anxiety from it. I can't stand text sound, so I have to come up with a new one. I do not like them.
Well, you know what I do is I record my own text and phone rings and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I record my voice. Like when my phone rings, I never have my ringer on, but if it ever does, it's me going, ring, 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 ring.
That's awesome.
And if I get a text, it's me going, text, man.
That's great.
Yeah, and I get strange looks, but who cares?
Can I just use yours?
Yeah, I'll send them to you if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, or you can you can make one specific for Yumi, which is like maybe just her sweet voice saying, hello, my love.
I used to have a ringtone with her singing that part from What's Love Got to Do with It?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but she just kept saying that over and over again. It was pretty great.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. It's also kind of maddening.
Yeah, no, it never was, actually. I never got sick of that one. I think that says a lot.
But it's better than diddle-oo-doo, diddle-oo-doo-doo.
Yeah. Man, you just stressed me out.
Sorry.
You got anything else?
No, I had a joke about your dislike of digital sounds, but your love of craft work flies in the face of that, but I won't even say it.
That's more a statement than a joke.
Yeah, true.
But it is true. It's quite accurate. I think that's it, Chuck.
Yeah, I got nothing else. This is a good one. Look out, if you're in New Mexico and you see a palm tree growing, then watch out.
That's right. It means that you've gone tropical and you're in trouble now.
Yeah, not in a good way.
If you want to know more about plant migration, there's a lot of interesting stuff out there on the internet to read, and go do that. And maybe go become an ecologist and figure out how to save the planet, please.
Agreed.
Since Chuck said agreed, it's time for listener mail.
This is from William Lloyd. We did a shorty on the NATO phonetic alphabet. Mm-hmm. And what we didn't consider was this. Hey guys, being a pilot in prior Air Force, I was glad that you did one on this topic. It's not a correction. You guys did a good job, but you missed what I think is the best part. The numbers. The NATO alphabet is kind of a misnomer because it actually also includes numbers 0 through 9, but you can't really make a word starting from a number, so it's purely pronunciation. Most numbers are the same with a notable exception of niner. We use niner instead of 9 because over garbled radio it sounds like 5, but mainly because NATO countries speak German. 9 means no in German.
Nice.
3 is pronounced tree, to not be confused with the antiquated prefix sri, S-R-I. 4 is 2 syllables, rhymes with lower, so you would say foer. Sounds kind of funny. To differentiate it from, F-O-R. And 5 is fife, to keep the word fire distinct in some dialects.
Huh.
This is good stuff. I feel dumb that we missed that. That's all interesting, but you're probably thinking, does anyone actually say it like that? It depends. Niner is pretty universal, plus we think it makes it sound cool, which it does, of course. The rest are much less common, but depending where you are in the world and what dialects are involved, they're useful from time to time. Signed, Tailwinds, Decker.
That's awesome. And also, what a great nickname, too. I hope that's your nickname and your parents didn't actually name you Tailwinds.
Well, no. Decker is the name. Tailwinds was the...
the sign-off?
Yeah.
The cheers or the one love?
Yeah, exactly.
So Decker's the first name.
Well, I don't know. It's just Decker. Decker may be a call sign, actually.
All right. Well, I love that. Thanks a lot, Decker. Much appreciated. I say niner whenever the occasion arises,
I like that. Our good friend Joe Randazzo, formerly of The Onion and At Midnight fame, our comedy writer friend, he signs his emails yours with a comma, Joe Randazzo.
That's great. That's very warm.
I think yours is, it's very, very warm, as is Joe.
Sure. That's perfect for him.
And as always, hi to the kids.
Yeah.
Joe's kids who listen.
Yeah, the Randazzos.
They're a listening family.
The Flying Randazzos. They're a trapeze artist family just waiting to happen.
They should be.
Well, we'll see. A lot's going to happen by the end of the century, apparently, so who knows?
That's right.
Well, if you want to get in touch with us like Decker did and confuse me with your sign-off, I'd appreciate it. So would Chuck, too. He loves that kind of thing. You can wrap it up, spank it on the bottom, and send it off to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Mom, can I have Lingo Kids? Dad, Lingo Kids, please!
When did we become the Lingo Kids house?
No idea. Last week it was dinosaurs. This week it's...
Lingo Kids!
Why Lingo Kids?
Because it's the best thing ever. We can play games with astronauts, wild animals, and superheroes.
With more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids.
So, no dinosaurs?
And dinosaurs! Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love. Download it for free.
You could be adored by everyone and still completely ignored by your cat. Trust me, I know. But if you feed your cat Sheba, you can go from being ignored to truly adored in 12 days guaranteed or your money back. Sheba has a full menu of products, appetizers, entrees, treats, even a kitten's menu. It's so cute, so Sheba has a product for even the pickiest eater. Like Sheba Puree, it's made with bone broth, their chef-inspired flavors. It's got a smooth and creamy texture that cats love and contains no corn, wheat, soy, or artificial flavors. It's food that your cat's gonna love. To learn more, check out Sheba.com. That's SHEBA.com.
Stuff at Sea is a 5-night, adults-only sailing trip that brings the Stuff podcast universe to life on board. This voyage is a culture-soaked escape where pink sand paradise meets curious minds. Sailing round trip from New York City to Bermuda on October 2nd to 7th, 2026, this voyage drops you straight into the iHeart Podcast Stuff universe. On top of the adults-only experience you already love, you'll get live podcast episode recordings, behind-the-scenes sessions, themed activations, and more unmissable onboard moments. Learn more at virginvoyages.com/stuff.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.